sellers who don't have to sell can do this. Buyers who don't have to buy can do this. But distressed homeowners, which is the area of focus that we're going to have, they don't really have an option. They got to sell or they're going to lose their house in most cases. And this is what the opportunity is that's coming up. So we're seeing foreclosure starts rise in all markets. Now, I don't know where in the world you are that are on this call, but if you look at Southern California, we've got a pretty rich opportunity here. So foreclosure activity is rising. Why is it rising? Well, you've got the 10-year interest-only rates now are coming due and adjusting to principal and interest loans. And on a $500,000 or $600,000, $700,000 mortgage, that's $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month difference in price. If people, if affordability is constricted because personal income hasn't gone up, and now people are, and now people are faced with $1,000 to $2,000 a month increase in payment, that might cause them to go into default. The other things that are happening that are causing default is rising payments as a result of loan mods that people got 5, 6, 7 years ago. So when people got their loan mod, they got locked in at a low rate for 5 years. Well, when the 5 years goes up, say they got locked in at the lowest rate of 2%, the 5 years go by, and then on the 6th year, it's 7% or 3%. In the 7th year, it's 4%. On the 8th year, it then adjusts at almost 5% if they got their loan, whatever the Fannie Mae rate was at that time. So it's just under 5%. And so those payments have gone up 1, 2, 3 years in a row now. And because personal wages aren't going up, affordability limits their ability to pay it, and we're seeing a lot of defaults. The other thing that we're seeing is that we're seeing a lot of second lien and HOA defaults. Second liens are defaulting because the first lien holder got a loan modification, but they couldn't get a second lien modification. So that second lien, they stopped even trying to collect. They stopped sending letters. They stopped making phone calls, and they've just been waiting. And their algorithm does a review every month or so. And then what happens is once their algorithm calculates that the first lien holder is no longer negative equity, we're seeing a high rate of second lien holders are foreclosing in an attempt to collect now that they've got leverage, and they're acting like a first lien holder, and they're forcing people either into settling or into selling their house so that the second lien holder can get paid. So these are just some of the reasons why we're seeing an increase in foreclosure activity. HomeLoanAdvocates, is what we think is the largest short sale negotiation company in the world. Our business is up 25-30% over the last 45 days. We keep thinking we're going to go out of business, and now our pipeline is growing again. So which is consistent with foreclosure starts, and we don't see any reason why that trend won't continue. So here's the opportunity. You got 2 million opportunities. How do we calculate that? Well, 50,000 home mortgages. Okay, 50,000 homes with home mortgages multiplied by, this is a bad slide. I should say 50 million, Lee. Don't laugh at me. 50 million homes with a mortgage times 4% delinquent. It's actually 2.8%. What's that?
To inject a laugh just for the audio replay.
Yeah. So the 4% of homes delinquent, you're looking at 2 million delinquent properties. That's all over the country. But if you're in a big state like California, a high density state like, areas like Southern California, this is a lot of opportunities. And even though prices are rising, negative equity still persists. This is the reason why HomeLoanAdvocates is still in business. Why our pipeline is continuing to grow. I can find this whole chart for you if you're not in California, but I wanted to highlight California is 2.7%, of houses are still negative equity. If you're in Arizona, 6.1% of those properties still have negative equity. So that may not be a lot. You may look at it as 3%. Well, that's not a lot, but 3% of 5 million, that's a lot. Okay. So there's plenty of opportunities in the marketplace. And if you're looking to figure out what pond you ought to be putting your line in to give you the highest probability, this is from Revo Gateway, who said, if you're a realtor, which, I'm not really talking to you today, but traditional farming yields 2 to 3% turnover where people are going to want to sell within 12 months. You can focus on divorce, which is not a bad idea, 22.1% likely to sell their house within 12 months. You can focus on probate, which is not a bad idea at 19.2%. You can focus on FSBO, which is a good idea for realtors, but not generally a good idea for investors, because one thing I notice about working with FSBOs is that they price their house too high and they don't want to give it any commission. So if they price too high and don't want to pay agent commissions, they're certainly not going to want to sell at a big discount to market value. And then you have mortgage defaults, which is the holy grail of opportunity in my mind, especially if you're an investor, and especially, and you realtors ought to be applying for. 52% of people facing a mortgage default are going to sell their house within 12 months. The question is, are they going to sell it to you, or are they going to sell it with you if you're a realtor? So this is where we want to focus our attention. The reason I like it is realtors have run from this business because they look at the 2.7% number and don't feel like it's a worthwhile place for them to spend their effort. It's a lot of work. They don't have a partner like HomeLoanAdvocates that does all the heavy lifting for them. So they're not fishing in this pond, which means there's a lot of opportunity and not very much competition if you know how to do it right. And therein lies the subject of our time together. So let's talk about the best prospects. So we want to focus on notice of default and notice of trustee sale, both. I prefer notice of trustee sale, and I'm sorry if you're outside of California and I don't know your data, but I can have a one-on-one chat with you if you like. But if you're doing a notice of trustee sale, I like those because in California there's 21 or less days to the foreclosure date. They have high urgency to take some sort of evasive action. We just don't have enough notice of trustee sales where we can do 20 of these every week in our market. We're in a pretty affluent marketplace here. So people are in pretty good financial health. They've mostly recovered, but we still have enough to go out and work on. So we're also doing notice of default. That's what fills our funnel, and we are still getting new listings and new opportunities multiple times every single month as a result of this. So the objective here is to beat realtors to the deal. I mean, if you're a realtor or you're an investor or if you're a homeowner, this is what realtors look like. It's very difficult to differentiate one realtor from another. It doesn't matter how fancy your business card is. It's difficult to differentiate a realtor. They look alike, they sound alike, they have the same options. And if you want to create differentiation, you've got to be different. You've got to offer something that differentiates you. So what we want to do is how to get distressed homeowners to call you. That's really what the focus is. So Lee invented this. For those of you, Lee is on the other end of this call. He's patiently waiting for me to stop talking and breathe so he can get in a word. So thanks for your patience, Lee. But he invented this concept of tagging. And so it starts with a call center. So you set up the call center. We give you everything that you need to do it. You create this label that looks familiar like a delivery, familiar to a delivery company's logo. Okay. And then you start getting the data. So what happens is that you customize this with a phone number that the call center gives you. And then I'll show you what we're going to do with it, but this is how we're going to get people to call you. So you get your call center set up, you customize the label, you go get some data. So you can use Property Radar, you can use Realty Track, you can use County Records Research, which is a local company in Southern California area. We don't care where you get the data. You just want to make sure that you're getting good data. The data source that you use is the data source that you will use. So if you find one easier to use than another, and because it's easier to use, that's what your preference is, that's the one you should use. So you want to, whatever source that you're looking at, you want to use NOTS, Notice of Trustee Sale, not listed, and no BK. That's the criteria. So the reason that we don't do not listed, because you go back to that original slide, if it's listed, then it's unsold. If it's in BK, that means they've already lawyered up and you have a very low probability of conversion. So NOTS/NOD, it's not listed and it's not bankrupt. Then you take that data and you roll it into a routing system for you. Like Foreclosure Radar has a routing system, but we found that it's not very effective. I like Speedy Route, okay? Speedy Route is simple, it's free. You drop everything to an Excel spreadsheet, you upload it, bam, you give it a starting point, and it'll calculate the most efficient route for you. This is a service that professional delivery people would use. And then you order up your personal delivery drone and you attach it. And no, that's not how it works. Lee, are you waiting for the day we can deliver by drone?
Since I'm the one who actually does, for those of you who don't know, especially those visiting us on this call for the first time, I actually put out monster marketing pieces myself. I would love for there to be drones to go put out monster marketing pieces.
But of course there's no drone, right? This is my attempt at levity. It's hard to do over the web meeting. Here's what you got to do. We're going to deliver the package. So first of all, so you put your list together. Let's say you put a list of 20 together. That's the minimum I recommend. And if you're beginning, that's the most I recommend. Okay. So you skip listed properties. So you get in your car, you drive to the property. You get in front of the property. If there's a for sale sign in the yard, you skip it. If there's not, you get out of your car, you take the label on your pants, and we'll tell you how to mark it up in the coaching group. You stick the label on your pants, you walk up to the door, and you put it on the residence. So you can put it on the front door. You can put it on the garage door. You can put it on the outside of the mailbox, not the inside. You can put it on the outside of the mailbox. You can put it on the side door. You can, wherever you want, you put the door wherever they're most likely to see it. But here's the difficult part. This is the part that makes it so simple and so effective that most of you are going to think that's too easy. It would never work. There's no way it's this easy. You leave, right? Truly, do you literally put it on your pants, put it on the door, get in your car, and leave? Is that really what we do? And the answer is yes. That's exactly what we do. So once we do that, what's going to happen is that we know if you put 20 labels out that you're going to get about 4 phone calls. And so what's going to happen is they're going to call into the call center, and this is an actual appointment that we set not that long ago. Their number that, they're going to give us a tag number. This tag number allows us to figure out who the homeowner is, what the address is. We're going to get the phone number that they called from and the best number to reach. And then they simply say, hey, you've got a delivery from a homeowner advocacy group with your information about getting your loan modified and other foreclosure avoidance options. The package must be delivered directly to the homeowner, cannot be left at the door, can be delivered. You pick the days and times. So if you've got a full-time job and you can only do it 4 to 7 p.m. Monday and Wednesday, and Saturday mornings from 8 to 12, you tell the call center when you're available. Call center will set appointments only for when you're available. If you want to drop your kids off at school at 8:30 and then you want to do meetings until 12 and then pick up your kids at 1, that's when you tell them, and that's when you do all your appointments. You could totally do this around your life and build a lifestyle that works for you. So it tells them what time we're going to do delivery, and then we offer to send them the alternative foreclosure flyer and ask for their email address. So now we know their phone number. We have an appointment. We have the email address, and then we let them know that we'll be sending them a confirmation shortly. That's it. It's not instant. So we know that 20 labels will equal 4 calls on average. Of those 4 calls, 1 of them will decline delivery of the package. 3 of them will set an appointment. You'll go out to the homeowner, and 1 of them will no-show, which we'll explain what to do with them in the coaching group. And 2 of them will meet with you, and we're going to talk about what to do with that. All right? That's how it works. So Lee and I have been doing this a really long time. And year after year after year, these ratios are essentially the same. Some weeks are better than others. Some weeks are worse than others. But overall, these numbers hold up every week. Is that still the case for you, Lee?
Yeah, that is the case for me. I think the thing that I would be putting out there for all of you, especially those that are not monster users, I literally pulled up. This is a true story. Happened yesterday. I literally pulled up. There was a a monster truck in front of this house that had the "We help people with reverse